friends, it's Miss Hilary here from the Green Sea Turtles, and I'm coming to you all the way from Florida. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been spending a lot of time this summer outdoors, and one of my very favorite outdoor activities is to collect seashells. So now I have this really cool collection of seashells, and I thought it might be fun to paint them. But there's one problem. I'm here at my grown-up's house and they don't have any paint. But I did a little research and I found out that you can make your very own paint using materials that are probably inside your kitchen. So to do this experiment, all you'll need is some water, some flour, and something that's going to make the colors that you want. You can follow along with me at home, or you can just watch the video and try to make your paint another time. I decided to start with the primary colors, since once we have those, we can make lots of other colors. Do you remember what the primary colors are? That's right, red, yellow, and blue. Now I need your help. Put your thinking caps on and think about what food could make the color blue. Can you think of a blue food? That's right, blueberries. What about red? Can anyone think of a red food? Maybe another, raspberries. And finally, yellow. And for yellow, I decided to use something that's kind of special called turmeric. And it's something you definitely want to use with your grown-ups because it makes a mess. Turmeric is a kind of spice, and I'll show you all about where it's from. Turmeric is a flowering plant in the ginger family, the roots of which are used as a spice in cooking. The science name for turmeric is Curcuma longa. Turmeric grows in India and parts of Asia because it requires a lot of sun, heat, and humidity to grow. When dried, turmeric makes a bright yellow color. You can grind turmeric into a soft powder, and this powder is used a lot when cooking Indian food, such as curry or tikka masala. Turmeric is also used in a lot of medicine because it's good for your heart, and it has a lot of vitamins. All right, I'm going to get all my ingredients out: flour, water, berries, and turmeric, and I'll meet you in the kitchen to get started. Okay, so before I got started, I washed my hands super well with soap and warm water, and I got out all of my ingredients so I don't have to keep running back and forth to find the things I need. I got my raspberries for the color red, my blueberries for the color blue, my turmeric, my flour, some water, and then I got some cups to put my paint in. I got a strainer to get the color out, and then I saw some spinach in my refrigerator, and I thought maybe we should make the color green too, because why not? So the first thing I'm going to start with is my raspberries, and there's a few ways to get the color out of the raspberries. One is to boil them. One is to freeze them and then pour some water over it so the color goes through. And the one that I'm going to do, which I think is the most fun, is to mash them. So take some raspberries and I'll put them in this bowl here. And then I'm going to need something to mash them with. Do you have any ideas of what I could use for that? Maybe a fork or a masher if you have. All right, let's get that out. Here are the raspberries, and we are going to just mash, 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 mash them. And you see all that nice red color coming out? Kind of looks like a jam. And when that is ready, you'll take it and you will put it over your strainer. All right, so we'll take the raspberries and we'll pour them into a strainer.
And we'll put the strainer back on top of our bowl to collect all the color. And we'll pour just a teeny tiny bit of water on top. And that will help the color come out. And I'll also use a spoon to smush all the raspberry color out. Get all that red out of there. Smush it in. Let's see how it's looking. What color is it looking like? Kind of pink, right? I want it a little more red, so I'm going to add a little more raspberries, squish them in. If you want it to be a little bit more pink, you'll do less. If you want it to be a little more red, you'll do more. If you need it lighter, you can add water or something that's the color white. And then it's time to add our flour. So I'm just going to scoop a little teeny tiny bit of flour, maybe about a teaspoon, into there. And give it a mix until it becomes more like a paint consistency. And it's going to be a little more like a watercolor than anything else. This is probably a little too thin. See how liquidy it is, how watery it is. So what do we need to make it thicker? A little more flour, just a teeny tiny bit. Sprinkle it in, give it another mix. Perfect. Our red paint is ready.
Next, we're going to add our blue paint, and I had some blueberries that were frozen. Now, if you have berries that are frozen, it doesn't really work to mash them. Maybe if you've been working your muscles a lot with Coach G, but it's a little trickier. So we're going to take these frozen, we're not going to mash these, and just pour them into our strainer.
And for this time, we want to use a little bit of a hot water because the hot water is going to make the colors bleed. It will make the colors come out a little bit. Turn the faucet on to hot. Let it warm up a little. Twist it with your finger. And then put it on top of the bowl. Give it a little water. Soak in there. If you want, you can give it a little extra mash with your fingers. Sometimes I like to get messy, so I'll do that. Give it a real mash. Let's see how it's going. Whoa! Look at that.
So what do we notice about the color that came out of the blueberries? Is it blue? It's not, it's much more of a red. So even though blueberries are blue on the outside, they're a different color. They bleed a different color, which means I guess we'll just have to be flexible. We'll have two kinds of red, or maybe one red and one pink. So once again, I'm going to pour a little out because it's kind of heavy. Once again, we'll add our flour and do a little mix.
So it's not the color we were expecting, but look at that. We have like a lilac and sort of a pinkish red.
Next up is turmeric. And remember, turmeric stains everything. It stains your hands, it stains your clothing, it stains the things you're working with, so you might want to wear an apron or ask your grown-up for help. And for this one, we're not even going to use the strainer. We're just going to put a teeny tiny bit of water in our cup. A little less than that. And I want you to watch what happens when I sprinkle the turmeric inside the cup.
It's a really strong color. Look at that. Does it look like paint? What do we need to add? Let's write a little more flour for this one. Here we go. Let's see how that works. And you can kind of experiment. If you want your paint to be kind of thick, like tempera, you'll add some more flour. And if you want it to be thin, like watercolor, you'll add some less flour. The more flour you add, the thicker your paint will be. That looks good to me.
Last color I'd like to experiment with today is green. and that's where we're going to use our spinach. But the spinach is a little bit different. We're not going to mix it with water like the turmeric. We're not going to mash it like the berries, but we're going to boil it. So I'll take you over to my stove top and you let me know when you see the water boiling. Okay, my water is definitely boiling, and you're gonna want some help from your grown-up with this part. But what I'm going to do is take a handful of spinach and put it into the boiling water. And that's all you really need, and it's gonna sit there for a few minutes, and you'll notice that the spinach gets darker and it starts to sink. And I can see my water is really boiling here. It's turning from a liquid to a gas. It's heating up and I see it's evaporating. And at the same time, the spinach is starting to wilt, starting to get ready to form some color. And I'll leave that there for about 3 minutes and then check on it. Okay, my spinach is ready. I'm going to bring it to the strainer and I'm going to strain it, but I'm going to leave a little bit of water in the pot. Just a little bit for our color. And then I will put our spinach right on top of the cup. Pour the rest in. See if we can get that nice color out. You might want to take your spoon one more time. Get the extra spinach and squeeze all that nice green color out. Squeeze it, but use a spoon because it's really hot coming out of that boiling water. Let's see what we got. Whoa! Looks like we got some green water there. All right, got my green water. What do I need to add? The flour. Make it into paint. And I'll add a little more flour this time. I want this one to be kind of thicker. And mix. Ooh, notice what's happening to the color when I mix that in. When you add the color white. What happens to the green? It gets much lighter, right? Looks good. All right, I'm ready to paint my seashell. And I was just looking around and it turns out I don't have a paintbrush here at my grown-up's house either. So what can I use instead? Maybe an old sponge, an old toothbrush that you don't put in your mouth anymore. You could use a flower from outside. You can use whatever you want. But I see something over here. You use it for cooking, marinating food, and it kind of looks like a brush. And I think I'll start with that. And if I want to add details, maybe I'll use my fingers. I'm not quite done painting yet, and I hope you aren't either. Maybe you'll find some new materials in your kitchen that you can make paint from. Some other colors, maybe. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Bye, Dwight friends.